Welcome back to another episode where we're going to talk about today things that most families aren't talking about. We're going to show you how the conversation around money can be had with your kids at any age. We're going to show you how you can put systems in place to support their learning, for them to really be ready to take things to the next level, and so their family knows what to do when you're no longer here. So stick around to the end. You don't want to miss. We got a little special offer for each and every one of you. Stick around. A year ago, my son Connor was 10, and he asked me to loan him $400 from his policy to buy Legos. We shook on the repayment plan, and he was going to edit videos, like he was going to add values by editing videos for my neighbors, one of my friends' new epoxy business. And he was going to get $30 an edit. Easy math, except life happened, right? Life happened. The raw footage took a month to show up. The back and forth between my neighbor and Connor took time. He did one or two edits. He edited the edits, and he earned maybe $60 once, and life moved on. Like 40 days later, he's back to Taekwondo, tricking, speech class, rowing. He's a kid. And what happened with the loan? It just sat there unresolved. And fast forward to last month, same kid, right? Just a year and a half later. And he wanted something new. He's over Legos. He's like, Dad, I'm done with Legos. I still love them. I want to keep them. But now we're going to do something different. I want to build a computer. He found an old PC that I had back when I was still doing some medical illustrations, right? Doing things with a pretty powerful machine, but it's old. It's 12 years old, and he was going to rebuild it. And as he started doing the research, as he started thinking about what this project was going to look like, we did something different this time, right? I listened to him. I found out why he wanted to do it, and I asked him questions. And then I told him what I needed before we move forward. 3 things. 1, what's this computer for? And what value does it add to your life and our family? And 2, what's the repayment plan, right? What's the repayment plan? And number 3, the third thing he had to give me was, well, how are you going to add value, consistent and persistent value, to earn what you need to have a repayment plan to make our system whole again? And so he went away. He came back with a written proposal, those 3 parts. We opened up the vault together. We looked at the loan calculator. We talked about it. We sat down, and we came up with a $200 a month repayment plan, and it's going to take him about 16 months. And he told me he's probably going to do more than that, but we know life's not perfect. And he just wanted to be safe. He's like, I know at least 20 of the 30 days a month, I'll do a video. I'll earn $200 and I'll share more about how he's doing that and what he's doing. The same kid, it's a year later. And what changed in that year isn't what you think. And I'm going to show you the exact moment in our house when that shift happened. The conversation that made everything I'm sharing possible. And I'm going to show you all that about halfway through today's lesson. And so in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to show you how a father or a parent builds the kind of home where a conversation like the one I had with Connor, or the one I'm having with Connor, can happen. And this isn't a lecture, right? There's not a single lecture. There's not a sitting down and me telling him, this is how it works, son. It's without having everything figured out yourself. It's imperfectly perfect. It's without waiting till your kids are old enough, because the truth is they already are. They already are. You just don't have a system in place yet. So this isn't our normal banking webinar. This is a parenting, a fatherhood webinar. And the banking piece is what makes it real. This is the practical, documented example of what we're doing in our life. Smash that button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the like button so you can help spread this message to everyone in your community. Help them get out of the system that wasn't built for them so they can have what they want in the future, that freedom of time, money, energy, and more magic. See you back in the video. And many of you know me, but if you don't, my name is Jason Sipple, and I'm a certified Nelson Nash Institute practitioner. I don't need to be that, but I felt like if I'm going to serve at the highest level, I should go back to source. I serve over 600 active families, And I've done over 4,000 strategy sessions. My wife, Patty, and I use this process, the infinite banking concept, the system, and it's completely changed the trajectory of our family. We're proof that it works. With our 5 banking policies, we are proof that if you stick to it and you do the uncomfortable things and change one thing, it works. But about 2 years ago, I realized that something was missing. And it's the same thing that I'm seeing in many of my calls, maybe with you, right? It's with people who have already built their privatized banking system and they're running them well. They're using the system, they're reaching their goals. But the real magic of this isn't what happens today. Let that sit for a second. It's how the next generation continues and improves what we started. And the only way that happens is if there's conversation in our home, with our spouse, with our partners, with our kids. And most of the time, these are conversations that aren't happening, that fathers have never had. And that's what we're missing. When we don't have the conversation with our kids or spouses, you know what? Someone else is going to provide the thinking for them. Someone else will tell them how to think about the system that you're building. And that's what I'm going to show you how to build. So by the end of this, you're going to walk away knowing how to apply this on a more, I guess, on a deeper level with your family. And I built a tool. Some of you have taken it, some haven't. It takes 3 minutes, literally. I've been looking at the times. People are averaging 2 minutes and 5 seconds, 2 minutes and 49 seconds. It's 20 questions across 4 areas of leadership. It's called the Family Leadership Reality Check. And at the end of the webinar, I'm going to also show you one question that most people get wrong on the assessment. And this question is the one that tells me everything I really need to know about where a family is actually at. Because this question shows you and shows me the gap in your own family right now. And it's not where you think it is, it's where it actually is. So at the end of this webinar, you have a chance to scan the QR code to have this check completely free. And you can walk through and learn how to read your score. So let's go over some of the things that we tell ourselves that aren't true. The first lie is, it might sound like this. You might say, you know what? This whole banking process, it's too complicated. My kids aren't ready. They're not listening to me. I'll teach them when they're older. If you said this, put an I in the chat. Like, I'm going to talk to them when I have it all figured out, when they're in college, when they're working, when they can understand the numbers. Have anyone said that before? So let me tell you what happens with that plan. Nothing. They get to 25 and they're like, oh yeah, my parents do this thing, and they don't know anything. Now they're making the same mistakes that you made at 25, that I made at 25, except it's worse because the system is more expensive now. Right? Our dollar's worth less now. And here's what I want you to see is this is the actual BYOB vault calculator that I use with Connor. This is the actual screenshot that I took after we sat down, and we just sat down at our kitchen table. We pulled up the laptop side by side so he could watch what the numbers do. So he could start seeing, hey, listen, my loan rate in my policy is 5.41%. He has a whole spreadsheet that shows us and he's looking for deals every day. It's crazy. He's looking for deals every day. He's like, look, I found this new fan or this new box to build it in or this new chair or keyboard. He's always picking up my mouse and my keyboard and saying, Dad, I don't like that one. I don't like how it sounds. And his loan amount that he wants to borrow is now, it started at like $1,500. Now it's $2,967. Remember that monthly payment plan back, $200 a month, 16 months. Total interest paid back to our partner, the carrier, the mutually owned dividend paying company, is $92.59. And I didn't hand Connor the calculator and be like, hey, dude, figure it out. I walked him through it. I showed him what each number meant. I showed him what it looked like when you're an honest banker. And we also talked about, hey, look, that money you're borrowing against, that you're collateralizing, guess what happened? It kept earning a 3.25% guarantee. And most likely, it's going to earn a dividend too. And then we look at the simple interest portion of this. We said, oh, well, You borrowed at 5.41, but when you're an honest banker, look what happens. You end up only paying 2.5%. And this time we're putting a promissory note in place. You know, the other loans we've taken, we didn't have a promissory note. But this time we're going to use one to get into the habit of having it because this is something that we're going to use for the family business, right? For the editing of these videos, for the getting this information out. And when we did the math on the repayment, Connor can see, hey, if I pay 300 a month, I pay less in interest. My effective APR goes down. And he felt safe at committing to $200 a month. And I'm actually making him build up before I let him take the loan. So that way he doesn't take the loan, think he's done. You know, you keep putting the systems and processes in place and keep talking to your kids because Connor's, you know, it's not like I mean, he's extraordinary. He's an amazing young man, but it's not because of that this works, right? Connor's in Taekwondo. He's doing tricking. He's in speech class. He does rowing. He's playing video games with his friends and doing homework. He didn't figure this out on his own. He figured it out because the system requires him to. Last year, the system wasn't there. None of this conversation happens. You know, I would have just handed him $3,000 for this PC, the same way I handed him $400 for the giant Lego set he built last year. And it would have just fallen apart the same way. The complexity isn't the problem. The complexity, right? The thinking, the calculators, that was never the problem. The problem is that most parents, most fathers don't put their kids in the seat because they don't think their kid can handle it. And the kid never gets a chance to prove them wrong. And so the lesson here is that your kids aren't too young. They're not too old either. You just haven't put them in the seat yet. And this is going to bring me to the next secret, right? The next thing, because I can already hear what you're saying, because I said the same thing. Jason, you're a practitioner. You've got this dialed in. I'm not ready to build something like that for my family yet. So let me actually show you what happened, you know, in our house. And this is Connor's. First, I want to show you Connor's vision. Like, this is what he's building. I had him show me. I'm like, show me what this is going to look like, bud. And he has a place for it now. He wants to put this into Diego's room. Diego hasn't even left yet. He wants to clean up the desk. He wants to build a place where he can work, where he can edit, where he can game, where he can think, where he can have privacy, a place of his own. And the reason this is happening, and this is amazing, like we always talk about how life is always happening for us, how there's divine timing. Like just right before this, 5 minutes before going live today and sharing this with everyone, Diego was standing right next to me. And he's telling me I'm either leaving, I wrote it down in my notebook, I'm either leaving to go to Paris Island on the 11th or the 18th of this month. I'll either start basic on the 12th or the 19th of May. And Connor already has plans to spruce up his room. So this isn't just a $2,967,000 loan. It's not just that he's learning the skills to build a PC. This is a little brother that's stepping into the space that his big brother left behind. And he's doing it with intention, with values, with a plan that he put together and is going to pay for himself. So if you would have told me 5 years ago that one of my sons would be leaving for the Marines and the other would be running a policy to build a computer and put it in a room that the other one's moving out of, I would have said, no way. No way, because I didn't understand this. I wasn't having these conversations. And the system, like, can you feel my excitement? Like the excitement of being able to see my boys involved in the system and having the conversations and being able to share and document and show everyone here in our community, because the lesson stands, your kids aren't too young. That's what the system teaches them. You know, more than that, that's the old thinking. But more than that, the system gives the family a way to move through the transitions together instead of apart. It's real conversations at home. Now, I promise you the second lie, right? The one I told you I could hear your thinking. You think, I can't teach my kids this because I haven't figured it out. I haven't figured it out myself. I need to have my own finances locked down. Anyone? Anyone feel that? I need to know what I'm doing. I'm not ready. Truth, you're never going to be ready. Ready doesn't exist. Ready is a myth that fathers tell themselves to justify not starting because we're scared. What if our kids don't listen? And, you know, stay with me through the next section because secret 3, I'm going to show you exactly what my son what Connor's doing for 30 minutes every morning that's quietly building the same mindset the wealthiest families spend decades trying to pass down. Again, this is a how do we have conversations with our kids around money and implement a system. So here's what happens when you wait to be ready. When you wait to be ready, it's going to look like this, right? I opened up today telling you the story. A year ago, Connor won $400 for Legos. He had put all of his savings, all of his earnings into his policy, into his specially engineered plan. So we let him take a policy loan. We had a repayment plan. We talked about how my neighbor was going to give him $30 an edit. This is going to be fast to pay back the loan. 12 edits, loan is almost completely repaid. It was going to be done in less than a year. And it never happened. Life moved on. And did I handle it perfectly? No, I just let it go. I haven't had Connor pay it back. No written proposal from him, no promissory, no plan, no conversation, no contingency when the plan fell apart. It just fell apart. I just let it go. Why? Why would I let it go? Because I didn't want to crush his curiosity. I didn't want him to feel the weight that we feel of I need to go create this money. I need to earn the money. I didn't want him to interrupt being a kid, just moving on to the next thing that he was curious about. But I also didn't want to repeat that. Like that's been on my mind for over a year. And the loan failing to be paid back didn't break our system. The loan failing was the lesson. I talk about blessings and lessons all the time. The lesson was failing to pay it back. The lesson was, what do we do different? Because this time when he came to me with wanting this PC, I didn't immediately say yes. I said, that sounds cool. And then I told him what I needed. Why do you want to do this? How's it adding value? What's your repayment plan? What are you going to do consistently and persistently to pay it back so we don't end up the same place we ended up with the Lego loan? And notice what happened there, right? The structure didn't come from Connor. He didn't come and say, hey, Dad, I did this. Like, this is what we didn't do last time. This is why I still have an outstanding loan. He didn't walk in and say, hey, here's my proposal. This is what I want to do. But now he knows because when he came with the idea, I made him do the work and build his case for it. That's our job as parents. That's the father's job. That's the mother's job. Your kid doesn't need to be a prodigy. You need to hold the line. You need to hold them accountable for the structure that you're teaching. And the lessons start before you're ready. The system teaches both of you, right? We talk about this in Taekwondo where we train, we test, and we teach, or train, test, teach, right? You can do it in any order, but you have to do the thing. And then you have to turn around and teach someone because that is where they learn and you learn what you don't know. And the third lie is where this stops most people cold. This one. How many of you said this? Even if I built something, my kids wouldn't care. They're on their phones. They're scrolling. They're into sports. They don't want to sit down and talk about money with me. They don't want to talk about money with us. And you're right. They don't. They never will because it's how this works. It's how this works. But the systems and processes, once they're in place, the mistake that most parents, most fathers make is they think engagement looks like a meeting. Everyone gathers around the table. You have the money talk. It doesn't work. And then you feel like you failed. Your kids are bored. They don't know why this didn't happen. Nobody wants to sit through a lecture from their dad or their mom. Did you when you were a kid? I didn't. I think about how bad, I was a great kid, but I was a pain in the bleep. So what engagement actually looks like is when our children come to us, even adult children, and they have something that they want to do. For Connor, it's brain gigs, right? We want him to brain gigs, physical gigs. Physical gigs are weeding, mowing the lawn, which he's about to do when his brother goes away. If you're listening, son, you're welcome. Or he does the brain gigs, which he can read a book, he can write a one-page summary on it, or what he really likes doing, and he's actually developing a very good skill by doing this, is he's reading something. He takes about 30 minutes. We have a value that's created for us that we place on it. He knows what he can earn based on the different gigs he can do. And so he reads for 30 minutes. He picks a quote, he picks a lesson, and then he just turns around and teaches it, right? The train, teach, test. He turns around and teaches it. We post it on our channels. And some of the books that he's reading, Becoming Your Own Banker, right? The book that's always next to me, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Seven Laws of Wealth. I want him to get into Think and Grow Rich. There's some other books, right? When he gets bored of these, there'll be other books. And he's already earned $320 doing this. I had to update it since this morning. So 320 bucks he's already earned. And that money goes right back into the family banking system that he's borrowing from. And I didn't sit down and tell him what to do. I didn't lecture him about financial literacy. He said, Dad, I want a computer. I want to build it. This is what I want to do. And we built the system where he's adding value to the family business, earning him money. He's learning the things that we want him to learn, how to think. They're earning the money. We're able to use the software, the vault, understanding the banking function and what it means to pay back the simple interest. And so he went and learned it. Like Dex said, he would have rolled his eyes, but if you want something bad enough, you'll find a way to get it. That's engagement. Engagement is curiosity. It's not perfect. It's not like this is happening in sit down meetings. My only job as his dad is to make sure the structure is there. When the curiosity shows up, I get to ask questions. I get to push back, have him bring me a plan, show him how to build that plan, or just let him figure it out. And then when he brings it, I can say, hey, that's cool, but if you would have done this, it would have added more value. I would have been more likely to say yes. Teaching your kids how to go from hello to yes. That's part of this journey, how to be influential. And so, like, our goal with Connor isn't to raise a kid who repeats what I say about money. How many of you have just learned things, do it for the test, you regurgitate it, and you forget it immediately? Anyone do that going all the way through school? I did that for 22 years. And probably a little bit after that when I did post-grad stuff. I don't need him to read Nelson Nash and be able to quote Nelson Nash and to sound like Nelson Nash or to sound like myself or to sound like my peers. I want to hear how he thinks about it. Because when I hear how he thinks about it, then we can have a real conversation. I can say, hey, what about this? I can help him fill those gaps in. I can point him to the next thing to be curious about. Like we just reached out to one of my great friends who's going to be president of the United States one day, and he teaches people how to trade. He's been doing it for 20 years now. And Connor's like, "Hey dad, what about stocks?" I said, "Cool. I don't know anything about that. Or I know very little about it. Send a message to Mr. Jeremy." And now he's learning that. It's how do we feed the curiosity of what our kids want? And you can do it with the system I'm showing you. So the lesson, you don't need your kids to engage with your values. You need to operate with your kids inside the system that you built. The values come from practicing, from doing the thing. And so let's put those three together. One, your kids aren't too young. We're talking about an 11-year-old. If he can run a loan calculator with his dad, yours can too. They're not too old either. Two, you don't have to be perfect. Perfect, stupid. The Lego loan failed is what made the PC loan work. Starting imperfectly is the curriculum. Three, engagement comes from operation, not conversation. Build a system, the conversations happen on their own. You have to be intentional. You have to step in and do it, but they happen on their own. And so now I want to show you something that can put all three of these in one place. This is our family GPS. This is what we created when we saw the gaps at home. It's the generational positioning system. It's the family operating system that Patty and I have been building, the one that we use, the one that we run in our own house with Connor and Diego. It's not a course, not a PDF. It's an operating system that you and your spouse can sit down at tonight. You can start building your family constitution, your values framework, your vault structure, the same way that we built ours. And what I've been walking you through for the last 30 minutes is something that took us years, hundreds, if not thousands of hours to put together. And I'm a practitioner. I do this for a living. This is all I do. You shouldn't have to do that. That's why we built this. This is a place, a digital drawer that lives as you create it. And here's what the founding members get when you use the platform. You get our family GPS platform. There's a ton inside of it, but the main one is going to be the Constitution Builder and then implementing it with the Retreat Builder as well. The same framework that we've been using for the last 3 years in our family. The values framework So every decision your family makes points in the same direction. You're going to the same place. You know where you're going. Systems and processes. So when your kids show up with an idea, like what I shared today, there's a place for that idea to live. The legacy planning module, because this isn't about you, this is about them. This is about how they're going to apply these things that you're learning today in the future. And if you email us, you can have the family freedom framework, the PDF. It talks about the frame, the fortify, the flourish. You can email us. You can email us at either patty@jasonsipple.com or jason@jasonsipple.com. And you can review this. You can hand this to your spouse after the kids go down. You can say, hey, here's what we're doing. It takes this webinar you watched into a decision that your family starts making together. And then you get access to the Founding Fathers community. This is the room. This is where we come together as a community, and you're not doing this alone. We're building this alongside of you. And then the final piece I mentioned at the beginning is, if you haven't already, you're going to take this family leadership reality check, because it's going to give you real-time feedback on where you are right now. It's simple. It takes 3 minutes. And with the family GPS, this founding members pricing is the lowest it's ever going to be, because we're going to keep building more and more into it to support our journey together. So when you join today, you're in a price, just so you know, that'll never come back around. And if you're not ready to join, right, if it's not the time to jump into our GPS, I get it. It's cool. No worries. So here's what I want you to do instead. Here's the link that I told you I'd start you at the beginning. And I told you I would go over the one question that shows you and shows me everything I need to know about if your family knows what to do if you're gone, right? That's question 9 inside of this. And most fathers, most parents assume their spouse knows where everything is, the accounts, the policies, the passwords, the plan, what your vision is. Most spouses don't. We're busy in our own world. And the gap between she knows generally or he knows generally and there are written instructions is the gap between a family that stays intact when something happens and a family that spends 2 years untangling your life, finding where all the assets are, finding where all your information is, finding what your wishes were. So if you score low on number 9, you're not alone. You're actually in the majority. But now you know. And now you know you can fix it this week. So scan the QR code or go to leadershiprealitycheck.scoreapp.com. It takes about 3 minutes. Answer honestly. You'll get a score back that tells you exactly where the gaps are. And, you know, as Proverbs 13:22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. If you do nothing else tonight, take the assessment. Don't know. You no longer have to guess. You'll know by the end of this. I'm going to leave you with this. Connor's almost 12. He's going to build his first PC. I'm going to learn about PC building alongside of him. We walked through how he's taken a $2,967 policy loan together. He has a written proposal. It is a liquid living thing. It is changing daily. He has a repayment plan. We have a promissory note that's being drafted. He's teaching other kids what he's learning by making videos every day. And he's learning while he's doing that. And none of this happened because of a lecture. It happened because we, right, Patty and I, held the line on the structure. So just asking you for something to think about. What's your kid building right now? And again, you have 2 options today. You either take the reality check, 3 minutes, it's free, or become a founding member of our family GPS and start building your family's operating system this week. There's no reason to keep putting it off. It's never going to be perfect. Either way, do something. The only wrong move today would be closing the tab, doing nothing, and thinking things will change. And so, again, if you guys got questions, happy to answer them. Always blessed that you give me your time, your energy. I love seeing the chat light up the whole time. Feel super blessed to be able to share this. It's more exciting than I thought it would be today. And you don't want to miss next week, because next week we're going to dive deeper into this structure and have some special things to share with this group. As always, smash that button, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel. If you're new here, help us spread this message. This is an incredible opportunity to have these conversations with your family, to be able to make sure They know and are comfortable talking about money, break free of the system, do what the wealthiest families have been doing for generations by changing just one thing. And I'm gonna see you don't wanna miss this. I'm gonna see you in this next video right here. We dive deeper into the systems and processes that the wealthiest families have been using for generations. So smash, like, subscribe. I'll see you soon. God bless.